So I am here with a good friend, Ellianna. Um, can you tell us a little bit about your business, how you got started with entrepreneurship? Let's start there.
Sure. Again, thank you, Bianca, for having me on here. It's a great pleasure.
Thank you.
As you mentioned, my name is Ellianna, and I am the owner of E.Vill Image Consulting. I started this last year officially. I was working full time in the corporate world and just later found out that it really wasn't for me. Um, I had two jobs at that time. I was working retail on the weekends and then my 9 to 5 in a law firm, and it was just a lot, you know. So,
Yeah. So, what made you start E.Vill Consulting?
well, I don't know if you know, I was a fashion major. I graduated from Mesa Community College and got my fashion degree, and I always wanted to be a designer, but I felt that it was very competitive, and obviously it costs a lot of money to go to, fashion school. So I thought, what if I just dress people? But more in the sense of like community. How can I help women in my own community that are underserved, that don't have those resources to like dress themselves and help them to kind of get back into society, into the workforce?
Mhm.
And I think my own journey kind of helped me with that because I was a stay at home mom with my firstborn for like 3 years. And then
Mhm.
going back to work was just such a big transition
Yeah.
because you, as a mom, you know that our bodies change
Yes.
physically so much, but we're also going through a lot of emotional and mental issues. And we're just like, how do I dress for my own body now? Like, I don't
Yeah.
even know who I am because I've been consumed by motherhood.
Yeah, no, definitely. I remember, and if you hear the doggos in the background,
They're fine. They're just
they're
fighting for
yeah,
attention.
they just
Is
want some
all.
attention, some love because they're obviously neglected. I'm just kidding. um, but I remember you after I had Solomon, you came over to do, your first like um kind of social media marketing with my closet.
Yeah.
And you're like, Bianca, why do you wear such baggy clothes? Like, they're just so oversized. And I didn't know at the time how big I wore my clothes because, like,
Yeah.
obviously, with the baby weight and the extra weight put
Hmm.
on to grow a human, you
Right.
just put on what's comfortable and what's like what you feel your body has expanded, and like
Exactly.
you don't realize um the baggage that comes with that,
Hmm.
with like, oh, you know what, I actually now I have real curves, I have hips, I have
Hmm.
boobs, and it's
Exactly.
like what do I do with all this extra
Yeah.
stuff?
No, absolutely. I think sometimes we focus a little bit too much on the bad things and not really take into consideration what we do have and how we can work with it and how we can make it work. Because, as women, we're very emotional beings, we're
Mm-hmm.
always like, how can it be better? Or, things of that nature. Um, but yeah, it's hard. And I do remember that day. I had a lot of fun because
Yeah.
you had some really good things. I remember you had just gone thrifting
Yes.
and you had so many awesome pieces. But again, the reality of, well, how do I put these pieces together?
Yeah.
Like, it's like a puzzle. Like you have
Yeah.
all these pieces and you're like trying to put them together, and some of them are confusing.
Yeah.
But we did come up with some really awesome ones,
We
and
do.
and
We
you
do.
had really good shoes. You have really good shoes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
uh,
Sorry, these pups are fighting for attention right now. They're big softies.
Um, so have you always been into fashion? Like, what is your first memory of like, oh, I want to be a fashion designer? Or like,
Yeah, I the biggest memory that the most vivid memory I have actually is it's a picture of me wearing a bathing suit
mm-hmm.
with shorts and like combat boots. And I used to carry this really bright pink like plastic bag that my mom probably got like at the dollar store. And to this day, my parents are always like, you used to dress not according to the seasons. Just picture this, me in like kindergarten with this bathing suit and a coat, and it's like freezing outside, right? And yeah, I never followed like fashion norms, and I don't think I ever like as a young girl, I don't think I ever wanted to be a designer. I wore what I liked,
Mm-hmm.
and I liked to make it my own.
Yeah.
Even in high school, like I wore, do you remember those jelly bracelets?
Yeah.
I used to wear, not kidding, like 100+ in one arm, and then beaded bracelets on the other one. I'd wear 2 watches. I'd make a bracelet out of zipper and like the little lids from the cans from like soda cans. So I just marched to the beat of my own drum, like in terms of clothing. And I think it wasn't until I got into like college that I was like, I can do this, you know, if I really want to make clothes for just women, and especially women that have a hard time finding things that fit them well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Most definitely. I think that it is very important for someone to dress comfortably and like what is their own comfort level, because that's when they feel the most confident. So can you so as you moved to your college years and like after you had your baby, what sparked this journey of entrepreneurship?
I think it was just the flexibility aspect of it, because I had my girls in daycare, both of them, when I did have to go to work. It was more so when I had my second daughter. She was at daycare for 10 hours a day, and I really had no connection with her. I was not happy in my workplace. It was very stressful. The environment was just off, and I didn't feel like I could grow there, and I had no kind of like creative outlet. So I thought I need to go back into sewing and, you know, start making things again. Like I need to find that spark. But the more I thought about it, I was like, I need to identify with the people that have gone through very similar journeys in life, like moms that are going back to work, women that are just, you know, getting out of the justice system, being incarcerated, whatever the hardship may be. And I felt like the community didn't really have that kind of resource, and that's something that I wanted to offer them and that I still want to offer.
Yeah, most definitely. Where do you see, so can you tell me like a story of some individual that you helped and that you made a difference in their lives?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I have a couple, but
what was the most impactful to you of the stories, I guess?
I want to say it's a friend that I helped with her because she was running for office.
Okay.
Local office, and she had no idea how to dress herself for that kind of position. She's a very casual person. She likes to be comfy. She loves sports, and she still wanted to be true to herself, but also have this image of like women empowerment, like I'm here to stay, I'm gonna make the rules, and you know, just that kind of respect that I feel sometimes isn't necessarily present for women.
Yeah.
So it was really cool just to kind of see her blossom into like this badass representative, and now she's a state senator. And it's so cool. Anytime I see like the picture from like her, like when she was running, I always remember like I dressed her. I dressed her for that outfit that she's wearing for that picture. So I think that was the most impactful one. Impactful client. And she's still like a really good friend of mine too. She's a good family friend.
So how, I know you expressed that you have 2 girls and you're married. how do you balance your creative passions and also being a full-time mom and wife, sister, daughter, all of the different
Yeah.
hats that you play, friend?
It's hard. It's really hard. I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. I'm still trying to figure out that perfect balance. I mean, nothing's perfect, but whatever works best for me.
Yeah.
We all have off days, but I feel like consistency and discipline are key elements there. Making sure that, okay, today, what am I going to do? Make your to do list. And even if you don't get through that to do list or all of your items on your to do list, like still kind of give yourself kudos for doing the things that you did complete. Um, but it's hard. Some days are more like family oriented, and some days are work days. You just kind of have to go with the flow sometimes.
Yeah.
But I've learned that spreading yourself thin is not ideal. Setting your boundaries is key, and just doing what makes you happy is essential.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with that because,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not good for an entrepreneur to feel extra stress on top of like trying to make a business work and
Exactly.
happen.
We want to be super women, but we can't.
Yeah.
We want to do
Yeah.
it all, but it's physically impossible.
Yeah,
I think we would literally go crazy if we tried to do everything that was like on our to-do list. Like the women and people that do that, like kudos to you. But it's possible, but with the discipline and consistency, I think it'll work.
I think that is 100% true. Um, let's see. So, what do you think? Where do you want to see your business in like 5 years?
5 years doesn't seem like a long time. It's a long time, huh? I want to have an actual like physical office where I can meet my clients and businesses that want to come in, and I can do my consultations there. And also have like my sewing studio in there too. I also want to offer opportunities to high school seniors that are going to college or that are going through the workforce. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they. I think that you'll be able to definitely achieve that goal. Um, it will be so interesting once you like reach that goal. Um, can you talk about like what other endeavors or what other strategies you use to grow your business?
Um, Marketing right now is probably one of the bigger ones. I know I still need a lot of guidance and help with it, but I think that's one of the most powerful tools that you can have. And I've learned that I just have to put myself in vulnerable positions and just try to meet people. I'm a very shy person. So I've had to learn to like fake it till you make it, you know?
Yeah.
Like just trying to put on this persona of like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Let me go meet people at like networking events or like mixers, and just like talking myself up and just being like, oh, hey, I do this, this, and this. Like, don't undervalue yourself. And that's one of the things that I've had to learn, just to kind of keep that momentum going of like, yeah, your business is awesome. It's not where you want it to be, but that's okay because you're essentially going to get to where you want to go and even further once you get there.
Yeah, most definitely. So it's interesting that you talked about like, oh, I'm a very shy person. I don't really like, I have to create this persona of like my vision of a business owner and whatnot. What are your current fears? Like, how do you work through that?
I think rejection is a big fear, personally, but also like within my business. And the more people that I talk to, as far as like entrepreneurs and just mentors, we do touch up on that subject. And they say that it's okay. You know, there's no real growth if there's no rejection. And that's what I try to keep in the back of my head. It's like, okay, if you get rejected, that's fine, because at least you tried, and that you're never going to be left with the doubt of like, what if I didn't take this opportunity? At least you went with it. The answer is no for now, but maybe they're going to reach out to you again once they see how successful you are or what other things you offer. So I think just rejection, just in general. But like I said, if there's no rejection, then there's really no growth.
Yeah, most definitely. It's interesting that you say that, because I recently went to one of my own mentorship programs.
Oh, cool.
And they were talking about like their fears, and like rejection was one of them. But they work for nonprofit, and basically they are asking for money, right? And like he's like, when I first started the business, I was so scared to ask people for money. But like once you know your cause and you believe in the cause, and you have like that elevator pitch, you feel more confident and you keep practicing. And like when that person says no, it's not that they're saying no to you, they're saying no to right now and that offer. So then once you're like, okay, this person said no, let's move on to the next person until you get to that yes. And I think that a lot of entrepreneurs, at least when they're first starting out, they're like, oh, I got my no, like I don't know what to do.
I know, there's such a sense of like being discouraged. And it happens, but you just have to check it off your list. Like, okay, they said no, on to the next one. Just like you said, you have to be consistent. Otherwise, if you think about it too much, you're just going to be stuck. And then you're going to go through this weird rabbit hole, and that gets you nowhere. So you just can't keep going.
What are your biggest challenges currently in your business or personal?
I think just the balancing part. Since my business is so new, trying to figure out like the best routine for me and for my family, because you want to be able to do all these things, but sometimes there aren't enough hours in the day to do it. But just being able to find that discipline, and just not being afraid to put myself out there. I think that's one of the challenges that I've had. Again, because of the rejection, I'm afraid that people are going to be like, oh, that's a dumb idea. But people are going to say that no matter what. So you might as well be confident about your vision and your passion. And the people that are really going to, value it are the ones that you're obviously going to attract the most. So that's my one of my bigger challenges, is making sure that you just stick with your passion and keep going with it. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
Do you do any collaborations with different organizations currently?
Not currently. What I am trying to do a little bit more of is finding places where I want to volunteer. There is a center in Phoenix. It's called Nourish PHX. It's a really awesome center. They've been there for, I think, plus 10 years, and they serve the community, underserved community, where they offer free services. They give them food, clothing vouchers, if they want to apply for like access, things like that, food stamps. They have a job center, which is really cool. And I did talk to the director there to see if there could be a potential collaboration there where I could partner up with like the job resource center. So that's really what I'm trying to find, is with volunteering opportunities, seeing how my services can grow within either their organization or a different organization. So if you're listening out there, let's collaborate.
I think that's as entrepreneurs, it is important for us to build that community and
Absolutely.
Like have mentors and guides through our journey. Do you currently have a mentor?
I have a few. I take a lot of classes and take advantage of a lot of resources through the Women's Business Center, through Chicanos por la Causa. They're in like Central Phoenix. So right now I'm currently taking a 4-week, 4-class program. Yeah, 4-week program. It's been very helpful. just being able to have that resource is phenomenal. And even through them, if you don't take like a particular class, you can always reach out to them and they'll partner you up with like a mentor, depending on what your business is, and it's free, so that's great.
Yeah.
But I have a couple mentors in there. They're amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there something characteristic wise that you look for in a mentor, or have you, how successful do you think mentorship is in general?
As long as you find a mentor that you completely align with and that you have similar, not necessarily similar topics of interest. Let me give you an example. When I first reached out to this program through the Women's Business Center, there was a woman that went to fashion school as well, and she'd gotten her degree in like marketing and stuff like that. And they're like, you guys would be a great, pair up. Unfortunately, we weren't. And just because we studied the same thing in school, like I thought, this is going to be an awesome mentor. She's going to like give me the scoop. And it wasn't. I just kind of listened to her talk for 15-30 minutes, and she never really gave me an opportunity to talk. So someone that's willing to listen to you, and actually listen to what you're saying, not just hearing words, come out of your mouth.
Active listening.
Yes. Like they say in my daughter's school, you listen with your eyes, ears, and your heart.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So someone that's willing to listen to your ideas and give you constructive criticism and ideas, someone that's willing to work with you. Because sometimes if you might have like similar interests or common interests, but sometimes I don't think you should rely on those. I think just having that conversation and kind of like finding a therapist,
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Because like, I remember like my first couple therapy sessions that I've gone to.
Yeah.
This therapist just wanted me to like read books, and I'm all for reading,
Sure.
but it's just like, but also I need that like you're really paying attention to my problems and my needs, and what actionable steps can I take?
Yes.
Right. So I think it is important for your mentor to actively listen and like understand what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And like I currently also have a mentor.
Oh,
and,
awesome. Good for you.
Yeah, she is amazing.
Okay.
Her name's Vanessa.
Awesome.
She will probably be on the podcast. So
okay, cool.
But she is always willing to allow me to pivot.
Okay.
So when I first met her, it was the beginning of the year, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. At the current time, like we were still going through Sal's like heart stuff, and I was just like super stressed and super anxious. And luckily, she has a background in behavior science and stuff, cool. Psychology, and so she was just like, okay, like let's make sure that you have you time, like make sure like put kind of yourself first, and then it will all kind of fit together. And as I grew into my position, I was like, you know what, there's not really movement here for me. And I left the company, and I'm with my current company, and I'm doing HR. But now I let her know, like, hey, I'm pivoting again. By the way, I'm not happy here, and I thought this is what I wanted.
But that's okay, because you're recognizing the things that don't bring you joy or happiness, and that's super important, because you don't want to be in this plateau. How do you get yourself out of a plateau? Like, it's hard. So good for you for recognizing, like, I don't feel like this is vibing with me, so I'm just going to try to slowly remove myself from the situation.
No, definitely. I think that allowing, as entrepreneurs, we do have to pivot sometimes. And it's just like, was there a time in your business or that you had a pivot? Or like, was there a crucial moment that you're just like, oh, that's not working?
Yes. Currently, actually, more so like a couple months ago when I just had a bunch of sewing gigs, and I exclusively had that for friends and family that know that I sew. So I was just getting sewing gigs after sewing gigs, and I'm like, well, I'm not really paying attention to my actual business. And at some point, I was like, I should just be a seamstress, right? Like I was
Mm-hmm.
limiting myself to my abilities. And, I talked to my husband about it and I talked to my sister about it because they're my biggest, supporters. And they were like, no, if you want to do this, like just keep doing it. Yeah, sewing's going to bring you the revenue that, you want, but don't lose focus of what's important in your vision of your business.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to keep that in mind as well because it's hard, especially when you feel like you're a jack of all trades, where you're like, but I want to focus on this one.
Yeah. I think that you're like multi-passionate person.
Yeah.
And
I think I just have ADD.
That
or ADHD, maybe.
Yeah. No, and I think that I follow this like Instagrammer, and she's like, yeah, like I'm multi-passionate. And I was like, what does that even mean?
Right? Is that possible?
Yeah, and I'm like, what? Like, do we just and it's like, so like for her it was like she does photography, she does social media, and like, and I'm like, oh, am I more aligned with multi-passionate? Like,
yeah.
But as you're pivoting in your business, do you have like what tools do you use to go back to what your true vision is?
I try to be present and just be like, okay, constantly reminding myself, this is what you're supposed to do. It's okay to say no to sewing gigs, I kind of just do it more so like as a hobby. If my uncle's like, hey, can you put some hoodies on like one of my work shirts, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But being able to say no to some of these cool projects is really hard because I love to sew, love going to like Joann's and just looking at fabric, just touching fabric is like my therapy. And that sounds creepy, but being able to just set your boundaries even with that, like obviously you have your personal boundaries, but there are boundaries that you still have to set as an entrepreneur, and that in itself is very important. Being able to say no, not right now, just how when other companies that don't want to collaborate with you, no, not right now, it's a totally acceptable answer.
Yeah, most definitely. What advice would you give an entrepreneur looking to start into like either fashion or consulting?
Yeah.
What advice would you give them?
Oh my gosh, stick with it. That is the biggest thing that I can tell you is there are going to be days where you just want to freaking give up. Like you just want to throw in the towel. I had so many days like that, especially somebody that suffers with mental health. It's very important just to keep going through it. There are going to be, like I said, some rough patches, but stay true to your vision, stay true to your beliefs, and the people that want to help you are going to help you. And if nobody wants to help you, then just help yourself. If you're the only person that's going to be able to provide that support and help, that's all you need, honestly. The right people are going to come into your life at certain times. Everyone's always a part of your journey, but they don't always stay, and that's okay. So just keep going through that journey because you're going to make it.
100% agree with that.
Right? Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Let's see. As you navigate this journey, what are some tools that you use to like either stay organized, or how do you plan your days? Like, how do you do it?
Yeah. I use a calendar a lot, and like a paper calendar, and it's a week. I use a bunch of calendars, honestly, and I think it's part again of my like ADHD. I have my calendar. It's in the kitchen. It shows like, oh, bless you, the whole month, right? And then the one that I use the most is a paper calendar that shows me the 7 days of the week. And like Saturday or Sunday, I usually just write everything for the following week so that I have everything planned out. And that's such a lifesaver, especially if you have little ones. That way you can visually see what do I got going on. That way you can kind of make your own schedule, which is the beauty of being an entrepreneur. Yes. Just the flexibility of it. That's how I stay organized. Setting alarms. I don't use the calendar on my phone as much as I'd like to, but I feel like I need to use it more just in case like I meet someone when I'm out and like, oh, okay, I got this already planned, so I'm booked for this day or this time. But yeah, calendaring for me has been super helpful. Trying to create content beforehand just so that I can just, post it.
Yeah, schedule it and it's done.
I came across a couple of really cool apps that I need to get on because I'm a procrastinator. I feel like I work really good under pressure. And if I'm like, Ellianna, you have to make a video for today because it's Thursday and it's your Thursday tips. You haven't gotten shit done. Let me just take 10 minutes in my room and just do something.
Yeah.
Of course, I have like my notes when I read my books and stuff, but yeah, that's how I stay organized.
Okay.
Just trying to schedule everything ahead of time and trying to stick to it as best as I can.
We need to have like a content day.
Yeah.
Just like, all right, we're both holding ourselves accountable.
Absolutely. Definitely. Accountability is key.
So besides entrepreneurship, can you tell whoever's listening out there like a little bit more about like your personal life with mental health and like your journey through that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think after I had my first daughter, I had postpartum and I didn't really know that I had it. I was 25 when I had my first daughter and I wasn't really able to recognize it. I think it was more so like a cultural thing, being Hispanic, being Mexican, just like, ay, no pasa nada. It's going to go away. It's the baby blues. You'll get over it. And you're just trying to truck along and you still feel like shit. But it wasn't until I had my second born that it was really dark. Like it got bad quick. And I can't really pinpoint to what really like caused it. I think it was just like my hormones and past traumas and everything just kind of made a cool little cocktail of catastrophe.
Yeah.
And I did struggle a lot with it. And I had to tell my husband, like, I want to hurt myself. I don't want to hurt my children because if I hurt them, like, I will just die.
Yeah.
It was never that. It was always like, I'm better off not being here. What do I have to live besides my girls? And then I thought about it. I was like, I have more to live. I do need to live for myself, but for my girls.
Yeah.
And I just kept thinking, like, I'm the one that knows, respects to my husband, because he does the best that he can, but I know how to take care of my girls. And if I'm absent, no one's going to be able to take care of my girls like I take care of my girls. And that's one of the bigger, motivational things that just kind of got me up every day. I still felt like shit when I got up, but I was like, okay, you have to get up for the girls. And then later I started thinking, yeah, but you got to get up for yourself too.
Yeah.
So therapy right now has been a saving grace. If anyone's ever contemplating going on medication, like just try it. And if you don't like it, try something else. Medicine wise, like we all need all the help that we can get. And if medication is going to give you that little, help, then just take advantage of it. You can always come off it. There are other ways that you can get help without being medicated, but I call it my happy medicine. But if anyone's, going through mental health, there's so many awesome free resources that you can take advantage of. There's a hotline that you can call if you're ever feeling like you want to hurt yourself or hurt others, just have intrusive thoughts. So the first step is always the hardest.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we're always in denial. I don't need it. No estoy loca. Everyone's a little crazy,
Yeah, everyone is.
But we all have a different level of crazy. But even then, like therapy has saved my life, like literally saved my life.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I suffered from postpartum as well. And for me, it was like I wanted to hurt Solomon. Like it was this like darkness that I could not. I was like, oh, this is how people end up in jail.
Yeah,
like,
this is what happened to the Llorona.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, she was just probably depressed, and she didn't know how to vocalize it.
The homegirl just needed therapy.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And like, luckily, like obviously, I have a huge support system that I was just like, oh, this is what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And like the initial step of like, this isn't me.
Right.
This isn't something that I kind of like, it's not me. It's something else. And like, it is your hormones. Because like, if you think about it, like you just pushed out a human. And all those extra hormones are still there. Like your body's like, oh, what's happening? I just grew this thing, and So I think I agree with you. Get that help that you need, and like if you don't have that extra support system at home, like there's tons of free resources. And
even groups, you know, Facebook has groups too. If you're on Facebook, there's groups of moms. If that's not your jam, like go to your nearest like community
behavioral
center.
Health
center. Absolutely. There's so many women's centers as well, depending on, you know, what side of the valley you live in. But there's never not going to be a resource. I think it's just being open to it, which is huge, because especially women in our communities, Latina women, you know, because their mentality sometimes is, well, if my mom or my abuelita didn't need it, why do I need it? It's like, well, they probably did need it, but you know, the taboos of therapy, like it was probably not even a thing, or they probably thought like, oh, it's a rich people thing.
I'm really gonna end up in the crazy house, you know. No. But absolutely, I think there is still a stigma as Latinas, and
but we're breaking cycles. We're cycle breakers, and it's so empowering to be able to say that, because you set your boundaries, and family members or close loved ones, they get offended when you put up a boundary and start calling you names, and it's like, no, I am putting up my healthy boundary for my personal benefit. You know, if it doesn't benefit you, then that's on you, and I'm sorry you feel that way. But absolutely, that's what it is. You can't make everybody happy.
No, you can't. As long as you make yourself happy, I think that's
100%. Yeah. I also want to thank you for sharing those feelings that you had, because it's really important to recognize those. And how brave it is to actually being able to verbally, you know, let it out. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone that's why I'm like, every dad that I see, I'm like, make sure mom's okay. Like, make sure that like she's okay.
Absolutely. 100%. So I have 2 cousins that just had babies, and a couple friends that just had kiddos. Everyone always asks, how's the baby? Oh, the baby's growing. Nobody gives a shit about the moms.
You're like, how are you doing, ma'am?
That is the first thing I ask. Is like, I know baby's good because you're at home, but how are you? Like, physically, you know, you're recovering, but emotionally, mentally, how are you? That's the first question that I ask. And I always tell them, like, if you need to talk or vent, doesn't matter the time, like it may take me a while to answer, but know that this is a safe space that I can offer you. And I think that's one of the bigger gifts that you can give a friend, a loved one, is that safe zone, to be able to, because it's scary.
It is scary. Yeah, especially with the feeling of depression and anxiety. You feel alone at that point in time. You just feel like you can't get out of it, and
your body doesn't look the same. You know what I mean? Like, we've had our kids for 2 years already, and we're still like adjusting. I mean, I think we look good.
We do look good.
We do look good, but
we're still first initial, like, I had a C-section, so that first initial, like, oh my God, there's a giant cut on my belly, like,
Yeah.
oh my God, that initial, like, because no one really, like, at least my mom didn't, like, really talk to me about, like, all right, so you're going to give birth to a whole human.
Uh-huh.
I want you to be prepared.
Yes.
Like, it was just like the conversation, like, are you excited? Are you happy? And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I can't believe the
Absolutely.
baby's growing. The baby's almost here. Like,
Mhm.
and it was never that conversation of like, okay, let's be realistic for a little
Yes.
bit. And I think that is a tough conversation.
It is so tough, but it has to happen. I'll tell
Yeah.
you, I went to my cousin's baby shower. She was still pregnant, and I gifted her um, adult diapers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you wore them after you had Solomon,
Mm-hmm.
but they give you this like meshy shit, you know,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't look appealing. I mean, diapers are
No.
not appealing, you
Yeah.
know. At least adult diapers are not appealing. But I gifted her, like I made her a mommy basket. I was like,
Aw.
everybody's gonna give her stuff for the baby, okay?
Yeah.
Even though she has like, you know, nursing bras on there, cool. But like I wanna be able to shower the mom. Like, yeah, it's a baby shower, it's supposed to shower the baby, but I just bring so much more focus on like the moms because yeah, the moms are happy, but they also want to feel excited, you know, too in their own ways. So it was just a basket of like her favorite snacks, the diapers, and there was a guy next to me and he was like, "Why would somebody give them diapers?" And I think the boy's mom, he was like a teenager, and the boy's mom was like, "Yeah, women need them after, you know, they have kids." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I never knew that." And like the little me inside of me was like, yay, like having, you know, that someone actually, you know, shed some light because it's true.
Yeah.
But yeah,
our bodies change
our bodies
after
change
that.
so much.
And we would never trade that for the world because we have our littles.
I know. I wish somebody had told me about adult diapers when I was pregnant.
I know. I 100% agree.
Luckily, like now you have social media to tell you like what you should really pack for your hospital bag, you know? And diapers is on there, but diapers for mom, I'm like, oh shit, I'm getting some of those.
Yeah.
So get yourself, if you're pregnant, you know, get yourself some adult diapers, the Always Discreet brand. Those are lifesavers because you can tear those bitches up on the side when you're done. You're good to go.
Oh my gosh. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And she thanked me too. Oh, yeah. She was like, thank you so much. I use the diapers because the ones they give me at the hospital were horrendous. And I was like, I'm really glad.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely not the best. So as you transition into the next step of your business, what are your fears besides rejection, obviously?
I've been having these dreams that I go back to work in the corporate world. Yeah. And it's scary. I've had thoughts too when like I have bad days, like I just need to update my resume and get a part-time job. I think that's my fear, is that I'm not going to go through with my vision and I'm just going to fall into this trap of like being a 9 to 5 forever, you know? And I don't want that because as an entrepreneur and as a mom, like I want to be able to be with my family and watching my girls grow. Yeah. And not having to pay an arm and a leg for daycare. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know.
I think that's my biggest fear.
Yeah, going back to the 9 to 5.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
I think that it's not too weird. Just because like it's funny. Like during that workshop of they were talking about like what is the worst thing that could happen to your business? And that was the top of my list. I'm like, well, if my business doesn't succeed, the worst case scenario is that I have to go back to the 9 to 5.
And not that 9 to 5s are bad, you know, but if you obviously are in a job or position that you don't like, that of course is going to be like worst case scenario for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you think of the 9 to 5 that you're scared of? Like, is it just like not having the freedom for your babies?
I think so, because whenever my girls get sick, I get to be at home with them, and not a lot of people have that luxury. And I always think back, like when my girls were sick, either at school or daycare, like I had to take time off from work to go pick them up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I lose, the time from work that I can't make up, or I do have to make it up, but it has to be on a Saturday, which I need to spend time with my girls, or Saturdays I had to go to my second job. So just my anxiety just like spiraled, and I think that's why I don't want to go back to that, just because of the flexibility of
Yeah.
not being there to nurture my girls.
Yeah.
Especially with my oldest, I had the opportunity, and I'm very blessed and thankful that I was able to be with her the first 3 years of her life. And I want to do the same with the baby,
Mm-hmm.
um, even though she's almost 2 or
I
almost 3.
know.
But yeah, I like that flexibility, and I still want to be able to have my own like business,
Mm-hmm.
but also have them see like, oh shit, mom's her boss, like she's doing it, and
Yeah.
I want to do that too.
Yeah. That kind of leads me into the next question.
Yeah.
So if Cubby was like, "Hey mom, I'm going to start my own business." So
Uh-huh.
what would you tell her?
I'd ask her, what can I help you with? I want to be able to be a good resource for my girls and even my husband too, because he's asked me to help him learn how to sew, which I think
Oh
is
my
kind of
gosh,
cute.
that's
So
awesome.
our goal is to essentially get like an industrial machine. And those are
Mm-hmm.
a bit pricey, but
Yeah.
that's a topic for a different day. But yeah, I want to be able to tell Cubby, my oldest, how can I help you?
Yeah.
How do we get started? Right now we have a little fund for her for whatever she wants to use as she gets older, whether it's school or work, but just being able to offer that kind of support, because I
Mm-hmm.
wish my parents would have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was also part of my list of like not having that support from my family.
Yeah.
So as a Latina, as someone that has always marched to the beat of their own drum,
Yeah.
that when you're like, "Hey mom, I'm going to start my business."
Mm-hmm.
What was the initial reaction?
When I told my mom
Yeah.
or my
Or your
parents,
parents?
yeah. Um, she wasn't really that surprised because she saw how much I was like suffering working my 9 to 5, or just how drained I was. But honestly, I think if I would have started my own business with something else, I don't think she might have been as supportive. And that sounds kind of biased, because she sews as well, and she learned how to sew from my grandma. So I think there was like a commonality there, which I think she approved of only because she like,
Has that experience?
yeah. But I don't know if they would have been as supportive if it was something else. Um, but I did let her know, and I think at first she was kind of skeptical
Yeah.
because of the financial burden of it. Like, oh, you're gonna stop working? How are you gonna keep up with your bills? Is your husband gonna be able to like support you all while he's working? And just things like that. I guess that was her own fear of like, are you gonna be financially stable? And I'm not financially stable, but I love what I do.
Yeah.
And essentially, I'll get there.
Yeah.
And when I have my beach house, you and the fam are invited.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and I think that kind of leads me. I was telling you before we started the podcast, like I'm already not making ends meet. So what's the difference between me loving what I do and pursuing my passions,
Exactly.
and not getting paid for it? So it's like,
Yeah,
I might as well just do what I love.
you might as well just do what you love.
And I love that you would be super supportive to Cubby, because like obviously you're a badass mom, and I think that you're always
We're
supportive.
badass moms, okay?
It's thank you for that. I'm learning how to take more better compliments, so thank you.
Yes, just say thank you. There's nothing that you need to say after that. Just fucking take that compliment. Thank you, because you deserve it.
Yes.
Yes.
Is there any other information or advice that you would give our listeners?
Take advantage of free resources. The thought of being an entrepreneur is scary because, especially if you have a 9 to 5. And a lot of people keep their 9 to 5s while they're trying, to do their hustle, their passion, and it's hard, but take advantage of the free resources or low cost resources that'll help you get started. There are people out there that really do want to help, us people that want to get our businesses thriving. And don't be afraid of your dream. People are always going to tell you that's a stupid idea. Don't do it, or it's not going to make you money. Mm-hmm. But it's not their dream, it's yours. And as long as you're passionate about it and you have the right people to help you, nothing really else matters.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Where can our listeners find you?
Oh, you can find me on social media. I am on Instagram. I mainly use Instagram and Facebook. I'm not as active on Facebook, but you'll find me there. Mm-hmm. I'm on LinkedIn, TikTok. I do a lot of sewing stuff on TikTok, but I am in the works of completing my website. A free resource that I got, an ASU student is helping me with my website free of charge because he's putting it on his portfolio. Awesome. So I'm telling you, where there's a will, there's a way. Yeah. There are also free websites or websites that you can take advantage of. But if you can find somebody else to do it for you, especially if you're not tech savvy like myself, take that resource, take advantage of that. Yeah.
And then we'll definitely link all your socials on the podcast. Yeah. So if you guys want to collaborate with Ellianna, or if you need help getting dressed, she's amazing. She will put items together that you didn't think would go together.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's like dressing up for fun all the time. I do want to say, if I may, I have a promotion that's still going on until the end of August. I normally charge $40 an hour for most of my services, and I know times are rough. I know students are going back, to school, or if people want a career change, whatever the case. Right now, the special is for $25 an hour. So if you're interested, all the information is on my Instagram, and Bianca will post all that info as well. But yeah, it's until the end of August. Definitely take advantage of that. So you can do some shopping and some fun stuff.
Absolutely. Take advantage of the promotion. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm sorry about my rowdy boys. They just love attention. They're finally calm when
it's towards the end, of course. But
it's like your kids, when you take them somewhere and they finally calm down, and you're like, oh, great.
You're like, I swear it's not a reflection of me.
Exactly.
But I appreciate your time. You're so talented, and
thank you.
I wish you all the luck in your entrepreneurship journey, and we'll follow up with you to see if you ever got the collab, or if any collabs come your way.
I'm working on those, but yeah, we'll keep you updated. Thanks, guys.
Bye.